Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our latest NCIS Season 18 review. And this one is about Sangre. And here to help us is Coco Chanel, who she had a moment at the end of this episode.
Yep.
We saw Gibbs was cooking up that steak on the fire.
Yep.
I thought he was going to give it to the dog. This was the biggest blindside to me of the entire episode when he started eating it.
You know what? He shared it with Nick. That was fine. Lucy has gotten steak. I think it was like the last episode or the episode before. She's doing all right. I feel like she's not neglected.
Gibbs loves his dog. Clearly.
Oh, yes.
This is my emotional takeaway where I'm thinking he's going to feed the dog before himself. But okay. We're going to talk all about this episode, Nick, his dad, a whole lot more. But before we get into it, if you guys do enjoy this video, hit that subscribe button because you know what? We've got a lot of NCIS still to come this season.
And speaking of beef, it'll help beef up our subscriber count. And that always helps us here at the channel.
We love puns.
You love puns.
We love puns, right?
Right. Also follow us over on Instagram at Matt and Jess TV.
I don't know if there's going to be any steak over there anytime soon, but you know what? There's a lot of other fun things.
There is.
Should we get to my beef with this episode first? Or
Sure, listen, we're all talking about the beef. Let's get to the beef.
Okay, here we go. One of my favorite shows of all time is Chuck. I have talked about this at least 150 times on this channel.
And 150 times a day over here.
So this is 151 right now, in that one of my few beefs with the show that I love is that every single person surrounding Chuck Bartowski, spoiler alert for a show that's been over for years, is either revealed to be a spy or somebody associated with the government organization.
Yeah.
Of course, Nick Torres' dad just so happens to have, CIA ties or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, my beef with this episode,
Yeah.
and I understand why it had to be this way, but I still don't like it, is that it all got kind of wrapped up in a way that wouldn't happen in real life. And I understand this isn't real life, but it is based in real life. I mean, they've brought in the pandemic. They are bringing this as real life. So, I mean, I gotta go with what the show is giving me here.
Yeah.
So, Nick Torres' dad left him when he was a little kid, never came back, ended up on some CIA mission that apparently stopped him from ever being allowed to be in touch with his family, but now it's okay all of a sudden, 30 years later. I didn't like that it all got wrapped up in a way where Nick was like, oh, I'll trust you again. Let's go have dinner. That part, I was starting to be like, I don't know about this. What is going on here? So when it got to that reveal at the very end, that gave me okay. But it was, for the whole episode, I was like, oh man, why are they going in this direction where it's... Nick is just going to be like, oh, okay, everything's good. I understand now. Hug, dinner, greatness. When he showed up at the hotel and Nick's dad was gone, I was like, thank you, NCIS. This makes sense. Because for all these years, Nick's dad has just been gone. There was no reason for him to not ever reach out to his son.
It's true, and I think how they played that at the end with the hotel room, like you said, it makes a little bit more sense that Nick is going to be someone who, despite everything in his head that probably is telling him, you can't trust this guy, you can't let this guy in, he's been ghosting you his entire life, it's also still his dad, and I think Nick, despite all of his bravado, he wants to be loved. He wants to be cared for.
Of course. I think even the strongest of people that have, if they haven't had something like this happen to them, abandonment, that they just close off, move on. If you have that opportunity to then maybe connect with them again, see if there's anything there. It's a different time in life. Everybody does deserve a second chance. I was just kind of like, okay, I would have liked to have seen it go over a couple episodes if his father was actually there and they were actually going to have that second chance. That sort of twist back into reality at the end. 10 out of 10. I feel bad, of course, for Nick, but 10 out of 10 on the reality of that, because that is probably what was going to happen.
Yeah, and I think it does still lead to a lot of other questions for me, like, what else does Nick's dad have going on? I think that he didn't necessarily tell us everything that he's doing or what he's up to, and, that does set the stage for him to maybe come back in season 19 or some other point down the road. Like, I think there's something more to be explored here, but once again, I think after this, you can't bring him back and then everything is hunky-dory for him and Torres and they're like hanging out and grabbing a drink.
No, I think that he blew it. It doesn't really matter what else is going on. He already had this story. Oh, I was working for CIA. I still gave money to the church that took care of you guys. I was still around. You just didn't see me. It was just all a bunch of lies, and it all ended up accumulating into sort of the last lie of let's go have some dinner together. Cool. Oh man, he's not here. Well, shocker. So if he does come back, I just don't think, there's no repairing that. Why? Like, he had the chance, he blew it again. I don't know that we will see Nick's dad again. And to be honest, I won't be that upset about it because there's no real way to move these two characters forward after this. He got abandoned as a kid, he got abandoned as an adult, he's still an adult, so what can you give us?
I would rather we see, more of his other family because we've heard about them in the past, like way back when Torres first joined the show. Yep. And I think there's probably more that could be explored there. Like my favorite part of this whole story is just Wilmer, who, usually he is the comedic banter guy, the guy who just is a little goof, but he showed some real chops in this. I like seeing kind of him push himself a little bit and get into some of that gritty, like, drama that he had to do this time.
Yeah, Wilmer's a very funny guy. We've all seen that 70s show. He's funny there. He's funny here. He's got really good comedic timing on everything. And just sort of in life, if you follow him over on Instagram, he's a really funny guy.
Yeah.
But it is nice to have these moments as well, these more dramatic moments, because it does show that he does have more to him than just a laugh, and he really does.
Okay, I have to administer another slice of beef here now.
All right, here we go.
This was the perfect episode to give us confirmation about Alec. Like, Bishop and Torres, Bishop could have been there for him. We could have seen more of a romantic connection. It all could have come together.
Yes, there could have been more, but there was some. Because when it all sort of started coming out or whatever, there was a moment that she put her arms around him. It's happening. It's just happening off screen.
It's too slim for me. I need, like, the thick steak that you, like, put in the oven for, like, 10 minutes here. They're giving us, like, that little tiny slice of steak that takes, like, 2 seconds to put on the, just put on the pan.
Okay, since we're talking about steak, let's talk about my last beef, which is that we know that NCIS has been renewed.
Yes.
We know that Mark is coming back. But we don't know how long, like how many episodes he's coming back for. They weren't very clear if he's going to be back in every single episode.
Yeah.
If this is the last season that he is in every single episode, he needs to be back with the team. Like, they can't go out like this. Like, make it that it's sort of like a last episode thing that he's like, I'm retired or whatever. That moment that McGee came and he's, in the basement with him with the boat and everything, he's like, this is the moment that you say, grab your gear. And Gibbs is like, bah! I was like, okay, that is how I am feeling now at this point as well. It is too many episodes now. He either needs to be back or he needs to not be there.
Here's the weird irony with it is that I think a lot of us get on NCIS for, wrapping things up too quickly often, like this thing with Nick's father. Like, this could have been spread out over 2 or 3 episodes. But here, we have a story that they've already extended for 2 or 3 episodes, and I just feel like because this is a show that's a lot about sort of that case of the week and that comfort of seeing Gibbs with the team, this is the sort of thing you can't stretch out, because this is like a touchstone for what NCIS is.
Yes. And it is very weird.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I feel very weird watching the team operating without Gibbs. And I know that other people may not feel that way, but that is how I feel about it. It feels like the team is not a full team with Gibbs not being there to sort of lead everybody, grab your gear. It feels like there's just like they're a rudderless boat. There needs to be someone who is the captain, who is driving this ship, and he's at home, you know, cleaning his house, and, you know, the minutes are ticking by very slowly for him. That's what it feels like for me. Like he needs to be back with the team.
You know, I even miss, and I never thought I would even say this, I miss the scenes where it's just like Bishop and Torres and McGee like goofing around in the office, and like in the middle of it, Gibbs overhears something and is like, what about the water polo race? And I just made up something that they were talking about. But, you know, that always happens, and I always expect it. It warms my heart a little bit.
Yeah, this show is a TV comfort food, and it has been for 18 seasons. And if, you know, we are getting to this wrap up, it can't go on like this for so many episodes. He needs to be back with the team, and there needs to be sort of back to a bit of this procedural. And it is sort of, I am dying on Hypocrite Hill here because I have enjoyed the longer arcs, but this one is not sitting right. It doesn't feel right. It's just a bit strange.
I think the other reality is, and this is no offense to the great Pam Dauber, who I was thrilled we got to see on the show, but it sort of felt like her story was sort of wrapped up when the article was written, and they kind of just found a way to include her again to give Gibbs something to do that's sort of separate from the team, where he can help her on some sort of story coming up, and we don't know exactly what that's going to end up looking like.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure, like, is this what they're setting up then? Gibbs is going to go off and be a reporter or, like, work on stories with his friend? Like, I just don't really know where this is going, because over at the team, it feels like a rudderless boat. Also at Gibbs's house, he has a literal boat there, and it feels like a boat. This boat cannot move, and it can't, and it's not going anywhere. Yeah,
so as you guys can probably tell, not our favorite episode of the season. Like, it still had some good moments. Like, I liked...
Oh, yeah, it had some really good moments.
Yeah, like, I liked Torres and Gibbs a little bit at the end, sort of Gibbs being that sort of stand-in father figure for him.
Yes, and that last sort of shot of Torres looking over and smiling at him, sort of after he gave him sort of the pat on the back. I was like, this is nice. I like this. This is why Gibbs needs to be back with the team, because he's not just their boss. He is sort of a father figure to a lot of the team of people that are kind of missing that feeling, and Gibbs is part of that feeling. He is the TV dad to us all.
I think it really, for me, a lot of it comes down to the fact that there are like 3 or 4 storylines in the top of my head that I'm desperate to get more answers on, and we're just sort of stuck not getting them, because we have, you know, will Gibbs get his job back? What's going on with Bishop and Torres? Are we seeing Fornell again? How is Gibbs doing romantically after losing Sloane? Like, we don't have an answer to any of this.
No, it feels like Gibbs just went into some sort of, like, forced but not really retirement that he's enjoying but not enjoying. Like, it's just kind of strange. It is strange. We're not here to just rail on the show. You guys know that we love this show. It's just time to wrap it up and get him back into the team.
I'm going to give Dr. Grace here a call, because I think Dr. Grace needs to go and talk to Gibbs, make Gibbs feel a little bit better, make Gibbs charge back into the office.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like, for any of you who are also watching Grey's Anatomy, you will know exactly where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Is that the main character, Meredith, has been laid up in a bed for the entire season, and normally she's the boss, where she's kind of like, you know, running around doing whatever and doing surgeries and part of the team, and it's been very weird taking the main character and just like boop, and that's sort of what it feels like here.
Well, let's hear from you guys on all of this, because I feel like a lot of us have some frustrations. We're here to talk it out with all of you. Let us know what you thought about this episode. Like, what stuff did you enjoy about it? What stuff are you kind of leaving just wanting so much more, especially since we just have a handful of episodes to go? I know. And if you guys do like this video, subscribe, give us a like, and support us further by checking those links to the store as well as our Patreon. We'll see you here next time.